Hello, hello. Welcome to Verbling. Hi, everyone. I'm Teacher Oakley. And at this particular time slot, uh, for the next few days, we're going to be looking at IELTs reading test. Today, basically, we're going to have an overview of the reading test, what it's all about. I would be happy, more than happy, to entertain any questions whatsoever about IELTs compared to TOEFL, any part of the test, anything at all. Today we're going to talk about basically what you can expect on the reading test, and maybe start looking at some simple strategies. In following days, we're going to be practicing. Welcome to the class, Victor. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm good too.
Terrific. Okay, welcome to the class. Hello, Heidi.
Hello, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again. Heidi, what is the EX for in your book?
Excellent.
What?
Excellent.
Excellent. Well, that's excellent.
Not exception.
Not exception. Not example. Okay. Okay. Anyway, thank you. Welcome to the class. Hello, Faisal. I'm very happy to see you.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Great.
Thanks for the class about me.
Okay. Well, I'm glad. It's happened before, Faisal, where a student has requested a class, and then I do the class, and the student never shows up. So I very much appreciate that you are here today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. And welcome to the class. Oh my, Janani. Oh, help me here. Janani?
Jenna? Just call me Jenna.
Just call you Jana. Jenna.
Yes.
Jenna. Okay. Thank you for making it easy on me, Jenna.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Where are you from, Jenna?
I'm from China.
Okay.
I
Welcome
live in the United States.
You do?
Yes,
Where,
I do.
Where do you live in the United States?
Midwest?
Sorry?
Midwest.
Midwest.
Yes.
Okay. You're going to make me guess then. Okay. Midwest. Kansas City.
No.
St. Louis.
No.
No. No, you're not going to give me a state?
Illinois?
Illinois. Oh, Chicago.
Yes.
Okay. Illinois. Okay. Well, anyway, Jenna, welcome to the class. Jenna, do you have plans to take an IELTS test?
Actually, this is the first time I'm taking this class. I had no with this.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, welcome to Verbling. This particular class, we're going to be looking at the IELTS, International English Language Test, which many people take. Actually, there are several reasons that people take it, which I'll explain in just a second. Let me just quickly say hello to Claudio. Hi, Claudio.
Hi, Oakley. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
I'm doing well too. Thank you.
Great. Okay. The IELTS test is taken for several reasons. Some people just take it as so that they can put it on their resume to show that they have a second language. Looks good on a resume. Some people take it because they're trying to get into a university in an English-speaking country. IELTS used to be the test you would take, for example, if you're going to university or graduate school in the UK or in Canada or Australia. But it's more and more often now accepted for even United States as well. And some countries, Australia immediately comes to mind, actually may require an IELTS exam to get a working visa. If you want to pick strawberries in Australia next summer, you're going to have to get a certain IELTS score to do that. It's actually required to get a student working visa.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the IELTS test, very similar. There are other tests which may be required. If you have plans to go to university, for example, you need to find out which test they want you to take. It could be IELTS, it could be TOEFL, possibly TOEIC. You need to find out what test they require and also what score they require, and that is going to be your goal. Most of these tests, have test you in the four, I guess, main disciplines of English, which are reading, writing, speaking, and listening. The IELTS test in particular has a very specific order when you are going, unlike TOEFL, which is a computerized test, or TOEIC, which is also computerized, the IELTS test is an actual paper and pencil test. So bring your pencils to the exam. There is always a specific order. Always, the listening test is first, the reading test is always second, writing is third, and speaking is held separately, always. In some countries, they have the speaking test the day before. In some countries, they have the speaking test the day after, the next day. I really don't know why they do that, but they make you come back to the testing center a second time. I'm sure they have their reasons. I haven't been able to figure it out yet myself. In any case, they always go in that order. We're going to concentrate today on the reading test, again, which would be second. Okay, IELTS has two versions. There are two versions of the test. What is called the GT, or General Training, commonly just called the GT IELTS test, which is used more for example, getting that visa to Australia. You would probably take the GT. More often used for your resume. Okay, more work related. Generally, people take the GT test. To get into a university, generally people are going to take the academic version of the IELTS test. Different parts of the test may be slightly different. The GT and academic tests are exactly the same in speaking and listening. The reading and writing sections are slightly different. In the writing section, for example, the general training they both have two tasks. However, in the general training, you will write a letter, and then you will do an opinion piece. In the academic, you will do an analysis of some kind of graph, table, chart, something like that. You will analyze it instead of writing a letter, and you'll do an opinion piece. So half the test is exactly the same. Reading. In reading, in the academic test, you will have 3 academic-related essays about some type of for example, related to like college courses, there may be something like sociology, psychology, perhaps the arts. It may be a passage about Shakespeare. Could be about, there very commonly there are passages about things, natural world things, geology, or about bats, or about dinosaurs, or things of that nature. The general training, however, may have more, shall I say, real world type things to read. You may be reading instructions how to do a process, or you may be reading about requirements to get into a certain program, or perhaps an itinerary for some kind of, you know, travel itinerary, more like that, as well as you're definitely going to be reading an academic essay as well. The academic test, both of these tests are 1 hour. The questions, whether it's GT or academic, you have the same types of questions. So the types of questions are the same, so that there's not that much difference in strategy. In fact, that is the strategy when you're approaching the IELTS reading test. Excuse me. The important thing to note is the strategy you're going to use for each of the question types, which we're going to start getting into today. Because each question type may require a slightly different strategy. Overall strategy, in my view, there are kind of 3 ways to do this. It depends on your skill level, and it depends on what you're comfortable doing. I suggest you try all 3 methods. All right, what 3 methods? Okay, you go to take the test. You sit down. You have a pencil. They are going to give you an answer sheet. There are 40 questions. So there's 40 spaces for your answer. The answer sheet is what you turn in at the end of the hour. You also have a booklet with, of course, the reading material itself and the questions. This booklet or worksheet, you can do whatever you want to this. All right, it doesn't matter. It's simply going to be destroyed. It is not used in any way for scoring. So you can make notes, you can circle keywords, you can underline phrases in the passage, you can do whatever you want with this, with the booklet or the worksheet. Okay, the 3 strategies are this. First of all, for example, I am a very fast reader. I am faster than average, even for a native English speaker. So I actively read the entire passage. I can do that. Now, for you second language speakers, maybe you're not that fast at reading. You are fighting time. You're fighting the clock. All right. For example, in the academic, you have 3 pieces of reading material, 3 essays. So roughly 20 minutes per section. You've got 3 times 20 is your 60 minutes. The reading material will, generally speaking, most people would consider that the reading material gets more difficult as you continue through the test. So one strategy may be to try to, for example, the first one, try to get it done in 15 minutes, and then 20, and then 25, because it gets harder as you go on. You must be mindful of the time. You absolutely. They always, IELTS testing centers always are going to have a clock that is prominent that everyone can see, so that you can keep an eye on the time. You also may want to wear a watch. You can't bring your cell phone and look at the time on your cell phone. It's not allowed. The only thing you're allowed to bring in is a pencil or pencils. Don't forget your sharpener. In case you break your pencil. You actually don't even need an eraser, because anytime during the test, the writing or in the answer sheets for listening and reading, you can just cross out in it. You can just put a line through anything rather than wasting time erasing it. You're allowed to just cross it out. Okay, back to my 3 strategies. I'm a fast reader. I read the whole passage, then go to the questions. Other strategies that are probably more useful for you guys, or for anyone taking the IELTS test. First is the skim and scan technique. Any idea what am I talking about? Victor, do you have any idea what I'm talking about? Skim and scan. What is skimming a reading passage? Do you have any idea?
I have no idea. Maybe to pass the eyes for, I don't know, like a glimpse or something like that, or no?
That's
Totally guess.
very good. Yes. You skim, for example. If you're commuting to work on the bus or the train, and you get a newspaper, and you just quickly want to get the main idea of the articles, you skim the paper just to get the basic idea. That's exactly right. Fast, not really reading each and every word, but quickly going through it just to get the main idea. Okay, that's skimming. When I say scanning, any idea what I mean? Jenna? You know what I mean when I say scan? Skim
Is
and
it just
scan.
looking at the information surface level? Just look at the entire picture, not looking into detail?
That's skimming. Okay, that's the skimming part. To scan is actually, okay, after you skim the reading passage, then you go to the questions and you look at the question. You find a keyword in the question. Okay, it's for example, it's an article about dinosaurs, and maybe the article talks about, for example, when you skim, it talks about the different periods: the Jurassic, the Cretaceous period. Okay, so that's how the article's organized, which is what you're trying to basically understand, how it's organized, generally what it's about. When you skim, yes, Jenna, perfect. Skim and scan. When you scan, for example, the question asks about Cretaceous period, so you can pick that keyword Cretaceous, and then you scan for that specific word to find where in the text the answer is to the question. So that's skim and scan method. Most test takers will benefit by using that technique. To be honest, if your level is a little lower, usually there's another method, and that is, yes, it's a reading test, but this may sound strange, don't read anything. Go directly to the questions and then simply scan for the answers. Depending, basically, and some people who have a higher skill level actually prefer to do that. All right, so it's not entirely dependent on your English skill level. You may decide that is the technique you want to use. Basically, really, it's up to the individual. You're going to have to try doing it different ways and keeping an eye on your time and checking it out for yourself to see which one is more suitable for yourself. Okay, when you're skimming, what you're trying to do, get the general idea, yes. Also, you're trying to figure out, for example, my example, the dinosaurs, different periods. All right. In that case, there would actually be a chronological order, a time order, a sequence. Maybe the reading passage is describing some sort of process or method, in which case, much like reading a recipe to cook food, there's a specific order, or perhaps they're just making an argument. In fact, one reading passage, GT or academic, will be a structured argument. So the writer will be making different points to support his or her opinion. Okay, so you're trying to note the general idea and the structure. What type of reading passage are you looking at? The reason why you're doing that is you're trying to map the reading passage so that you can find answers. If you have some idea of how the passage flows, it's going to make it a lot easier for you when it comes time to scan for specific keywords. Okay, also, in the test, okay, IELTS, we'll be talking about this. IELTS, basically, I don't know, they're cruel. They're evil. I don't know what's wrong with these people. They try to trick you. All right? They're going to try to fool you into making silly mistakes. The first and simplest way that they do that, the instructions. Okay, you're gonna be looking at two things: a question, the actual question itself, and then the instructions for the question. The instructions for the question you must look at, and you must look at very carefully, because they will try to trick you. They will say, the instructions will do things like this: you must not use more than 2 words. Your answer should be 3 words or less. So maybe your answer would be 1 word, for example, in a fill-in-the-blank question. They could say your answer should be a number, 1 number, and 1 word. The questions will come usually in blocks. There are 2 or 3 of the same type of question, multiple choice, for example. 2 or 3 questions which are yes, no, not given. So they will come in blocks, and then each block of questions will have specific instructions. These instructions will change. Not only in the reading test, in the listening test, same thing happens. The instructions on how to answer the question must be followed specifically. If it says your answer must be 1 word and the answer is a number, then you actually have to write. You have to write 7. In particular, for the listening section, but also reading. If they say your answer must be a number, then you must write the number 7. So if you do not do this, if they say your answer must be a number and you actually write the word You're wrong. Ridiculous. You have the right answer, but you didn't put it in the form that they wanted. In particular, in the reading, you are going to have a section of questions which asks you to basically write a title for each paragraph. The reading passage, by the way, is going to be 2,500 words. It's going to consist of 8 to 10 paragraphs. Okay, you are going to have a question somewhere on the test, it's inevitable, where it will ask you to basically write the title for each paragraph, and it'll give options. It probably give more options than there are paragraphs. So two possible answers won't be used at all. The instructions will say, please write the Roman numeral in your answer sheet. So you're going to have to, you know, if you write 7 or the number 7, you're wrong. You have to write like this, the Roman numeral, VII. Watch out for that. Very common mistake is test takers will just write the regular numbers. Yeah, you will see the numbers. Now the answers, possible answers, will be listed using the Roman numerals, so you can just copy them. You don't have to know Roman numerals. You'll be able to see it. Yeah. Faisal, 2,000 or more like 2,500 words. That's why many test takers need to just skim it. That's why I was saying I'm a very fast reader. So I can actually take time to read it, but that's me. Roman numerals, yeah. Crazy. So anyway, that's the trick. That's the idea, is that they will actually try to fool you with the instructions. Also, another way that they will try to fool you. Okay, here, for any of these tests, actually, it's really the same idea works in TOEFL or TOEIC or any of these tests. Keep this in your brain, all right? At all times, must remember that the answers to the questions will be in the text. They will not be in your brain. All right, what do I mean by that? Going back to my example of the dinosaurs, all right? Maybe you loved dinosaurs as a child. I don't know, maybe you collected them, little plastic ones. Maybe you know a lot about dinosaurs. Actually, that's not good. It may be good in that you will recognize vocabulary and understand the meanings of some words. So that is actually beneficial. However, you must separate in your brain what you know and what is in the reading passage, because the answers are all going to be in the reading passage. It can't be something that you know. In fact, it definitely does occur. Possibly what you know or what you believe or your opinion is contradicted by what is in the reading passage. Yeah. Really, Jenna? Okay. Collecting dinosaurs, first step to be a scientist. You think so?
You never stop imagining.
I collected them when I was a child, but I'm a teacher. That's close, but not quite a scientist. Okay, anyway, what you know in your own brain, you may know about the topic in the reading passage, and actually that can be dangerous because the answers, all the answers are going to be specifically in the reading. You almost have to imagine that you are an alien from outer space and you know nothing about the topic which is discussed in the reading passage. All the information that you know is contained right in that reading passage. because all the answers are going to be right there. There is a type of question which you may have to infer information, but it will be really obvious. Okay, what the answer is. It's not. You're not going to have to make any big leaps of drawing a conclusion from the evidence and you know, basically make a big leap in logic. You're not going to do that. The answers are very obviously right in the reading passage. Okay. Yeah. So again, definitely need to keep an eye out for the time. Really quickly, I want to just share with you the different question types that you're going to be looking at. Hang on, let me do a screen share. And we will be practicing these, definitely. In the upcoming days, by the way, before I forget. If you're joining the class, please download. I'm going to be uploading material in the following days, the actual reading passages. Okay, so make sure that you download them before the class in the next few days so that we will practice all these types of questions. Okay. All right, the different question types. Multiple choice, there's going to be 4 options, or multiple guess. There's going to be 4 options. Usually, most of them are going to be single answer, but there may be, possibly, sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. There may be a question where you have to answer with 2 choices. Okay. I will talk about the next few days in case. Let me introduce it now. In case I say it, you don't know what I'm talking about. I will definitely be mentioning that you want to use the process of elimination. So POE. If I forget to say the whole thing and I use the acronym, use your POE. Process of elimination is what I'm talking about. Faisal, do you know what I mean when I say process of elimination?
We have to eliminate another answer to get the right answer, maybe?
Yes, and in some of these question types, you really almost have to use process of elimination, and in order to get you absolutely have to use that strategy to get the correct answer. That's right. So you eliminate the incorrect answers. Mostly, okay, usually you have 4 possible answers, A, B, C, D. All right, your answer sheet, you'll be writing A, B, C, D. Okay. Usually, normally, of course, one of those answers is going to be correct. One of these answers is, frankly, usually one answer is completely stupid, to be honest, and makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Totally irrelevant answer. Okay, that leaves you with 3 answers. Here's generally what they do. The answer... Your answer, as I said, has to be in the reading passage. They'll have one answer which is not even related to the reading passage, so it's clearly wrong. Another answer might contain part of the information, half of the information, but doesn't completely answer the question. All right, you have to be careful because literally the answer is half right. You've got to eliminate that. An answer may be exactly the opposite, the virtual antonym of the answer. The answer is black, but the possible answer is white. The exact opposite frequently will be one of your choices. Another answer, as I said, will be related to the reading topic, the passage, but won't be actually in there. Won't be discussed. So this is basically what they do. The part answers, opposite answers, or just not in the passage at all. Multiple choice questions are frequent. You're definitely going to see these. Let's see here. Short answer questions, okay. Direct answer, a fill in the blank. By the way, if you're writing in a word, you're filling in a word for both short answer and completion, make sure that it, first of all, is spelled correctly, and make sure that it is grammatically correct. For example, the answer is a verb. All right, make sure you know subject-verb agreement. You know, he runs. If they run, I run, he, she, it runs. So if the answer is it blank on electricity, oh, the answer is it runs on electricity. If you just write run without the S, your answer is wrong. Again, listening and reading are both 40 questions. You have an answer sheet, and so that is true for both. Your answer must be, first of all, has to fit the instructions. Also, it must be grammatically correct. For example, fill in the blank. It must be grammatically correct, and this point kind of angers me, but you have to live with this. Also realize that your answer must be spelled correctly. Okay, an ironic element of this crazy IELTS test is the fact that in your writing section of the test, you can actually misspell a few words and still get a perfect band 9, a perfect score in IELTS. It is possible. However, in the listening and the reading sections, if your answer is a word or words and you misspell it, the answer is wrong. So very merciful when it comes to the writing section, no mercy at all when it comes to reading and listening. You must spell it correctly. Kind of a pain in the neck. All right, short answer questions, generally filling in the blank in a sentence. Completion tasks is similar, but you're going to be probably filling out some kind of table or note. Usually, in this would be seen more often in the GT test, where maybe the reading is explaining a process. Okay, so you would be filling in blanks of maybe a chart or a flow chart or maybe even a diagram, which is down here. Okay, labeling a diagram. Okay, so the passage explains a process, and then the question is a diagram, which you would have to fill in the keywords from the process, something like that. These much more common in the GT. You really don't see this in the academic test. Okay, matching items into lists, also probably more common in the GT part. Here are the tough ones. True, false, not given, or yes, no, not given. These are very, very similar types of questions, please be aware again. Again, you have to. If they say your answer, they may ask the instructions may be your answer must be true, false, or not given. So you have to write true. They may say you need to answer T, F, or NG, in which case you have to answer like this. If you actually write not given, but the instructions say to answer T, F, or NG, then again, it's wrong. Your answer's wrong. Be very careful when you run into these questions about the instructions. Make sure that you read them. Okay. They're basically the same. True, false, not given. Yes, no, not given. True is pretty easy. You just have to find the information. All right. If it's there, great. It's the question, and usually you're going to be able to answer the question much faster if the answer is actually true. False and not given is a little more difficult because obviously if it's not given, you're going to waste a lot of time looking for it to make sure it's not given. If it's false, then the answer will be, as I discussed earlier, either the answer will be exactly the opposite of what the reading passage says, or this is where it gets tricky, it's half of the information. So it's not all of the information which you're in the statement that you're searching for is not completely all. Part of it's given. In that case, it's false. All right. And not given can be tricky. For example, you have to be careful, actually throughout the whole test. You have to be very careful to look for, be very careful of absolutes, absolute language. Claudio, what do I mean absolute language? You any idea?
No, Oakley. I have no idea.
Okay. Be very careful of absolutes. They're probably a trick or a trap. When you run into always, never, 100%, definitely, every time, okay, everyone, every time, these are usually danger, danger, danger. When you see these in a question, okay, if the reading passage says dinosaurs usually lay 8 to 10 eggs, okay, but the question says, the statement says dinosaurs always lay 8 to 10 eggs, well then that answer would be false, okay? These differences, one or the other, the reading passage and the question, because the reading passages are academic, or usually the information, the essays are anyway, and in science, science is never absolute. Many of these passages are basically scientific in nature. And if you think about it, science very rarely speaks in absolutes. There always never happens. You're definitely gonna, scientific language uses probably and usually and often. All right. So be aware of that. Definitely they will try to trick you by using absolute language in the questions. This is a very common kind of trap. Okay. Let's see here. All right, let's talk. Hang on a second. Any questions so far, actually? Faisal, any questions about anything?
No, Clay. I have no
About him?
question.
No. Okay.
Teacher, what scientific language did you mention before? Like what? Scientific
Oh, okay.
language.
I don't want to mislead you. It's not that the reading passage is going to speak with huge specific vocabulary. That's not what I mean at all. I'm just meaning the overall tone in science is when scientists write or speak, they don't use absolutes. That's not the scientific method. You know, they just don't do that. And for example, I said earlier, you're almost certainly going to get a reading passage about something to do with the natural world, animals or plants, or something, and whatever. Maybe they're talking about crabs, or maybe they're talking about monarch butterflies and the I don't know, the flight patterns of butterflies. Who knows? But in these types of articles, they're not going to say that anything always happens, because that doesn't really, because it doesn't. In real life, things don't always happen. It's very seldom, and science is very leery of claiming 100%. I'm definitely not saying that these articles will be so difficult. They'll use scientific language. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the tone. They are written for the layman. You don't have to have any specific knowledge to understand what they're saying. You may not understand every vocabulary word, all the words. You probably will not. But don't worry about that. Most of the questions are much more directed to your overall understanding. All right. You probably aren't going to have. You don't need to know the meaning of every vocabulary word in the reading test. Certainly not. In fact, let's start talking strategy. One strategy that I like to encourage: when you come across the question, a good idea is to actually, you read the question in the booklet, repeat the question to yourself, rephrase it to yourself in the most easily understandable, simplest possible way. Okay? So that to make sure that you understand the question, rephrase it to yourself. There may be cases where you have a very important sentence, phrase, or whatever in a paragraph, and perhaps you don't know one of the vocabulary words. Basically, or you can't get the meaning of the sentence, the words in conjunction with other words. Just simplify it. Make it easy on yourself. Basically, get rid of prepositional phrases or relative clauses. Strip it down to just nouns and verbs. Get rid of adjectives. Okay? Just make the sentence as simple as you can to help you understand the meaning.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, well, and we're going to practice that as well in the next couple of days. You definitely should have a strategy for making notes. Whatever you want to do, maybe you want to circle keywords. Maybe you want to underline. If you're skimming, by the way, the first paragraph is going to be the topic paragraph, it's going to introduce the whole idea of the whole passage. I encourage everyone to thoroughly read the first paragraph. Maybe then you can skim the rest. But even as you're skimming, the first sentence sometimes is important, almost always the last sentence. So if I'm skimming, I usually read the first sentence, or at least skim the keywords in the first sentence. Basically look quickly through the paragraph and then read the last sentence. What am I looking for when I skim? I'm also looking for, if I'm in the middle part that I'm just going very quickly, I'm definitely going to be looking for repeated words. All right, if I keep seeing Cretaceous period, Cretaceous period, if I see that 3 times in a paragraph, then okay, I'm mapping. Okay, this second paragraph has to do with Cretaceous, and then the next paragraph I see Jurassic 2 times. All right, obviously that's very important. Perhaps I can underline it or circle it, whatever you want to do, so that I'm guessing as I skim what I'm looking for, things that I need to find it later. I'm mapping, in other words. So again, you can do whatever you want to your worksheet. You can underline, you can circle, whatever you like to do. As you're skimming, you start skimming, or you read that first, you definitely read the first paragraph. A good idea is basically the same technique you use in listening. Try to predict what you will read next. In listening, always be trying to predict what you're going to hear next. This actually will really help your listening skills. Predicting, and it actually works the same in reading. If you read the first paragraph, try to predict what's coming up. It's amazing how often that you can actually do that if you're actively trying to do it. Again, you're definitely trying to use whatever clues you can to identify what type of reading. Is it a problem and a solution? Is there a time order? Are there positive and negative points, and how does the writer structure it? Does it positive, 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 and then the end is negative, or does the author go back and forth, positive, negative, positive, negative? These things will help you find your answers later when you're scanning. Okay, you're looking for, okay, keywords. Okay, you are definitely going to be guessing. You're definitely going to, at some point in the test, you're not going to know the answers. Guess. Oh, don't leave any answers blank as well. That's just silly. Make a guess. Who knows? You might be right. There's 40 questions. There's no reason to leave any blanks. You should at least make a guess. It can't hurt. You can't lose points by making a wrong guess. Okay. There will be times, like in completion tasks, when your answer is directly a word from the text. Sometimes, but probably 25% of the time, roughly. 75% of the time, however, you're going to be looking for synonyms. So you see the question, you see the keyword in the question. Even before you look at the reading passage, start to think about, what are synonyms for this word? What are other words that mean very close to the same thing, or even other phrases that can mean the same thing? Phrasal verbs, what have you. This will also help you, because most of the time you're probably going to be looking for synonyms of the keywords. Okay. Again, you can write in your worksheet. So obviously, if you have multiple choice, process of elimination, you can cross things out. In fact, when it comes to the one with the Roman numerals, which I mentioned earlier, you're going to have numerous options. So as if you have 12 possible answers, definitely as you start to figure out the correct answers, you should cross them out so you're not looking at 12 things. Now you're looking at 10 things. Now you're looking at. They'll even give you an example. The first one they give you, as an example, but so cross it out immediately. As you have less and less options, this could be 8 or 10 answers. That's 25% of your entire reading test. So it's definitely important to do a good job on this. Keep in mind that when you do this, the first few answers, it's because you have really 10 questions with maybe 12 different answers. When you start, it's going to be slow. But then as you have less and less options to choose from, you'll go faster, 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 faster. Okay. So keep that in mind, which also you are fighting the clock through this whole thing. So you definitely need to keep an eye on the time. In fact, one strategy, academic tests you don't need to. You're going to have 3 passages. That's done deal. General training, though, it could be 3, it could be 4. So if you're doing the general training test, when you get your worksheet, quickly just look to see how many passages you're dealing with. If 4, then you have approximately 15 minutes for each section. If it's 3, 20 minutes. They will, you will not have different numbers of questions. For example, in the academic, it's going to be approximately 13 questions per reading section. Approximately. There's 13 times 3 is 39. So maybe there's 12, maybe there's 14, 12 to 15, but pretty much the same. And GT, same thing. So you're going to have you're not going to have a reading passage with only 3 questions. That doesn't exist. That won't happen. You'll have roughly 13, or if it's GT and there's 4 passages, then each section will have roughly 10 questions. Maybe 8, maybe 12, but pretty much the same. Okay, any last questions before we call it a day? Tomorrow we'll actually start looking to do the questions. We'll just be practicing for the next couple days. Yeah, hardcore practicing. I won't talk so much. Okay, we're pretty much out of time, so thank you very much. I have to go now. Hi, Raphael.
Thank you, Clay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. Bye, Fashal.
Yeah, bye. Thanks.